here.
Yay! We're live. We're live.
I am just so happy to be here. Like we were talking about earlier, like life was just so insane today.
Yep.
And it's nice to have music back to being a thing that relaxes me.
Yep.
Because for a long time it wasn't.
Yeah. Well, why was it not happy? I mean, why was it not relaxing?
I think because I was working so much. So I was teaching 70 students a week and then doing gigs like 3 nights a week. It just it turned into a chore after a while.
Yep.
And so, it was mostly like the cover gig stuff that turned it into a chore for me.
Well, I am pasting this on here. We don't have to do the cover stuff anymore, do we? But we can talk about that.
And the other funny thing about that is that now I'm enjoying like finding random covers that no one would ever expect.
Yeah, like you just when we were tuning up or when we were doing our little sound check and you started playing a Madonna song from the 80s. But it sounded so much cooler than, the boring club thing. Yeah, it sounded cool.
My dream is to, I kind of did a version of it, but Total Eclipse of the Heart is my absolute favorite song.
Oh, man.
I know. But like a folk version of that could be so cool.
From you, Grace, I would listen to it. It's just, I heard it like a few too many times back in the day because I'm a little older than you. So yeah, it was. I had a neighbor who used to blast Bonnie Tyler really loud over and over and scream and sing. And if my sister is watching this, she's probably not watching it yet, but she might tune in. My sister Jackie. We were living together in a little tiny, the first place I lived when I moved out. I was 18, this little tiny shack, by the railroad tracks, and everything would shake.
And Bonnie Tyler.
And Bonnie Tyler would be next door. And we played in a band together, so we didn't care about the loudness. It was just the poor woman was sad, But on that
Ellen
note...
and Ken, hi, Ellen and Ken are here. So my friend Ellen just posted today that she's going to be publishing her first children's book.
That's exciting.
And she started doing a really cool thing this year, because she worked in Ellen, correct me if I'm wrong, she worked in a preschool and wasn't able to do that the past year. So she started doing story time with Ellen and just reading books to kids. My son loves watching story time with Ellen. So I'm glad
everyone likes reading books. I worked in high schools for years, and even the older kids, it's like, hey, you want to hear a story? Yeah, sure. Yeah, they love it. Everyone does. Who doesn't like to hear a story,
Well, I can think of one girl. My stepdaughter hates a book.
Does she hate it if someone else is reading it, though? That's the whole thing.
Yeah, no, she doesn't have the patience for stories.
Yeah, well, some people do and some people don't.
Do. But me, I am... Dee is here. Hi, Dee and Ken. And Chris. My goodness. All our friends are here. Have you read the Outlander books, Claudia?
No, I started watching them during the lockdown on because I think I had it on one of those streaming things, and it was good. But it seemed like there were several seasons, and it was like a real commitment that I was going to have to be camped on the couch for weeks on end.
Yes.
And I just wasn't that committed to it. But it looked, it was really well done and everything. So yeah, it was cool.
You think the show is a commitment? The books are ridiculous. They're like this thick.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I used to be, when I was say in high school, I used to just read, I'd lock myself in a room and read, or junior high, and I just read and read and read. But it's kind of a luxury. It's nice. I did it more during the pandemic, but I actually like reading ebooks now because it's not so heavy to cart around.
It's true.
And you could just read them on a tablet. But anyway, so there you are over in Massachusetts, and
you're in Texas, and I'm just so happy to be here with you. I propose we just dive in. I want to hear one of your songs.
Okay. I'm going to do a newish song, and I apologize. I did not turn off the AC, and there's a good reason for it. The next room where the thermostat is, we have a new little kitten who's like this big, and if I go in there, it'll be like meow meow meow, and it won't stop. And if I bring him in here, it'll just be a nightmare. But anyway, thank you, Grace Morrison, for having me. And I am going to do a new song called In Waves. Life comes in waves, Rushes too fast, lags behind. Not convenient, not often kind. Love has its own mind. And if I started over, would I know much better? The lessons that we carry are like 10,000 feathers. I know your face, still familiar from a different time and place. Once we loved, but time made us strangers. Life comes in waves. Life comes in waves. Ooh. And if we started over, would we do much better? The weight of all we carry, it's like 10,000 feathers. Life comes in waves, and it cares not if you're ready for each stage. Crashing down or slow and lazy, life comes in waves. Life comes in waves.
Stunning. God. I love that line. Hold on, I'm going to change the banner here. Tip the artists.
Yay!
I love the lyric about how, life doesn't really care if you're ready. And it's just like, when are we ever ready? I don't know that I've ever felt like ready.
Yeah,
for
is it
anything.
the right time to have a baby? Oh, this is the worst time to have a baby. Well, what's the right time? Like, when does, someone hand you a pile of money, give you 2 years off, and, and hire a nanny and a doula for you? Then that's the perfect time to have, but most of us, it's just like, oh, crap, this is, like, the worst time to, fill in the blank. And we
Right.
just do it, like that Lennon song about, life happens when we're busy making other plans.
Yeah.
It's not just a cliche, it's true, that and I think, I have to remind myself sometimes, because I get very caught up in, I have to do this or that, or maybe this isn't, or I messed that up. Instead of just enjoy the people around you in all of our glorious imperfection.
Yes.
Enjoy what you're doing.
And I think, for me, in this business in particular, so much, there's a timeline put on women more so than men, I feel like. If you're not successful by this time, then you have no shot. And so, there's all this anxiety, and I have to keep putting myself in check and being like, you know what? I'm just going to live in this day and just walk through the doors that are open.
Yeah. And I think that's really true. And I think back when I was, and I realize now a lot of it, what I was telling myself that this was true, females have to make it by a certain time. And back then the shelf life was even younger because you were trying to get signed to a major label. So, I started off playing in bars when I was 18 and then went did that for a couple years, went off to college, got a music degree, which kind of like stopped what I was doing playing. So I don't know if it was the wisest thing, but I did it, and I had other good experiences there too, and studying music, studying how to write music, playing in bands. But then afterwards, when I was down in New York and I was trying to put a band together, I was trying to play, and I kept like things weren't happening, and I felt more and more like, well, if I'm turning 30, getting close to 30, it's too late. I look at pictures of me back then, I'm like, I was crazy, And then there were also people like, who were older than me who were working at it, and I just I allowed myself to kind of be told something that wasn't true, that maybe some people were selling or saying, well, you got to be young, but and now I'm not young, and I've come back to do it, and then believe me, there is like zero roadmap for doing it when you're an older female. People are like, oh, that's nice.
Good for you.
No, I actually said to someone, oh, you're so brave.
Somebody said that to you?
Yeah. Someone told me I was brave. And I know they meant it as a compliment,
Yeah.
And I was just like, to me, I was like, I have to do this or I'm going to go crazy, because I, couldn't not do it anymore. So, yeah.
Well, I think that people often can have this perception that we do it for reasons other than why we do it. Like, they think that we're all just trying to be famous when would be nice, but like we do it because we have to, like for our soul.
Yeah, it makes sense for you. Yep.
Yeah, I had a similar experience. So I was singing backup for Eddie Money.
Oh, right. Yeah. Oh, we didn't talk about this last week when you were on my show, and I wanted to talk about it so much.
I wanted to dig into this. So I was singing backup for Eddie Money, and I was backstage in the green room, and it was all like 80s stars. Now, mind you, I was 21, and I didn't know who any of them were, because when I was born in 85, and like I just didn't know. So anyway, one of them came up to me, a huge rock star, and he says, oh, you want to be a singer-songwriter, huh? How old are you? And I told him, I said, I'm 21. He said, you're no spring chicken. You should just quit. And he would suggest, his advice was, like, go try to write songs for other people because you're too old to be a front person.
Too. Yeah.
And it just, like, puts this thing in your head, and, like, I'm an anxious person anyway. And
but you look so young. I mean, you still, like, you could say, oh, Grace, she just graduated high school last year, and look at her at 19, and she's really tearing it up. Because you look very young. You have a real young, face.
I said to somebody the other day that I have 3 teenage stepdaughters and a son that's 2, and they were like, how? They thought that I was like 20-something, like, how could you have all these kids? Like,
I was a child bride.
But it's just, it's always been this thing in the back of my mind that only recently I've been able to get rid of.
Yeah.
And just realize, like, when I was 21, I didn't have anything artistically to even offer. Like, I didn't know who I was.
No,
and I just...
yeah. I mean, that's so true, because when I was in my 20s trying to make it in New York, the real reason was, I didn't have connections, this or that, but I was trying to do something that just wasn't authentic to me. I didn't know how to go about it. And then I remember back in those days, I had my little tiny studio apartment on the Lower East Side, and there would be a couple times where I would just write this little acoustic song. I'm like, well, I can't do anything with this. But that was like a song I kept liking and playing. So I didn't realize. And then it was, when I was in my 30s and I was a young mom, that's when I picked up an acoustic guitar and started writing again. And I still didn't do anything for a long time. So.
But I think it's what you said, though. It's finding our authentic selves, because I think that's what people are going to connect with. And
absolutely.
We all go down the road at a different speed.
You have something to say at each stage, so.
It's true. So I'm going to do a song I haven't done in a long time, and I wrote it after, I kept getting these, like, weird, I don't want to say misogynist, but, like, and not quite sexual harassment, but, like, just insulting enough that they could get away with it, And it just gets me thinking, like, why do people need to tear down somebody, and it just always feels like people need to tear down people who are doing well because they just trying to pull them down to their level. And
it's a mystery to me. I don't know. Whenever I encounter that, I'm always like, oh. And then I realize, like, oh, well, wait, maybe I'm doing that,
Yeah.
So, like, I think it's kind of a bad thing in human nature that we're all stuck with, and we either like give into it and do it, or we don't. And and if you don't, or you try not to, and you find it a lot, then you're like, oh, okay, yeah. It always takes me back. I feel naive because I'm always like, when someone makes one of those little remarks, I'm like,
yeah,
okay. And then I make a judgment about them in return.
Right. It's true.
Okay, you're a dick.
So I wrote this song like kind of in response to that idea that, like, people just try to pull down the beautiful statuesque people when really we should all just, what is that saying? The rising tide raises all ships.
Yes, a rising tide raises all ships. Yeah, it's true.
So anyway, positive energy. This is called I Am Waiting. And where is it? Where's my banner? Boom. So if you like my music, I'm releasing a new album in August, and my fan funding campaign is all on my website. So check it out. This is called I Am Waiting. Here. I am fighting with my sin, leaves its mark from within. Other versions of our fathers eliminate your fear, my daughter. The nights are long, you're not alone. Strength of gods you look upon, get their light each day at dawn. Statuesque, so we beat it down. Cannot glory wear its crown. Other versions of our fathers eliminate your fear, my daughter. The nights are long, you're not alone. Dress yourself in heels and skirts and hope you feel alive. Let them touch and look and sweat so they survive. I am small, I am meek. Come in close and kiss my cheek. Pat my head, I know my place. Lick your fingers and trace. Other versions of our fathers eliminate your fear, my daughter. The nights are long, you're not alone.
Yeah.
So I was remembering when I wrote this incident that had happened, and I call it the Chef Boyardee incident.
Oh, I want to hear about this.
Where's my? Here it is. So, and I've been trying to find a way to work this into a performance to make it funny, but because really it was terrifying. So,
And I'm laughing.
I know. So I used to go to the YMCA every single day, and there's the regulars are there, and I would always wave. And there was this particular older man that was always there, and I would just wave and be friendly, but I didn't know who he was. It was just, you recognize him. And so this one day I was leaving the Y and I saw him and I waved, and then I walked to my car. And I sat down in the driver's seat, and my door was ajar, and I was turned to the right. I was looking for something. And when I turned back around, the man was between me and my door.
Ooh.
And I realized now that I was just like shocked. I didn't know what to do. And he bent into my car and bit my neck.
Oh my, wow.
And then walked away. And I sat there in stunned silence. Like I could not believe it happened, and I did nothing. And you always think that if something like that happens to you, you would know how you would react. Like I just sat there, and it makes me so mad that I just sat there. But he looked like Chef Boyardee, and that's why I call it the Chef Boyardee incident.
But
and
not as cute and roly-poly and spaghetti-filled as...
But it wasn't cute, and it just kind of like...
No, that's awful. That's terrifying.
But I think it kind of like... Just the idea that I didn't know how to react in that moment to even stand up for myself, because it's been so ingrained in me to just always be nice and friendly to people. And so anyway,
I think as females we are told to be nice and friendly, and oh man, I wish I had. I just came across this funny little thing. I was cleaning out stuff at work, and I work in a high school that's been there for a really long time, and so there's stuff. You get into like cleaning out layers, and it's like archaeology. And I discovered kind of like this little pamphlet from maybe the 90s. It was a little book, but it was very thin. And it was like all about dating. And it tried to be hip and cool. And then it's something like, girls, here's what makes a good date. Be quiet. Listen to him. And it was all this kind of, right, like the look on your face. I was like standing there going, and this woman standing there, she goes, what is that? I'm like, I can't believe I'm reading this, that it's not something from like the 50s or 60s, And, be interested in your date. And it was just like, basically just look pretty. Oh, be well groomed and, and all this stuff. And basically just sit there and listen, and it's like.
Just be nothing.
No wonder. No wonder we've had so many problems.
Yeah, I know it. Like, it takes generations to get that crap out of our heads,
I don't know. I don't know. It's awful. Well, I was thinking of doing a song that's totally unrelated to that. Is that okay?
Totally fine. Yes, take us in a direction.
Well, I'm going to take us in a sad direction, because whenever I play this song out, I don't play it out all the time, because I don't play it like if I'm playing somewhere happy, like a winery, like you don't. I have what I call my dead people trilogy. I wrote 3 songs in a row about deceased people, but this song, when I wrote it, came from a weird prompt, and that I wasn't expecting to be able to write anything about, and it was just on this app where I clicked on it, and it was like, here's a place where you are, and this is what day of the week you are, and this is the direction you're facing in. And it was at 10 a.m. on a Thursday morning in Cleveland, Ohio, facing east, and I'm like, what am I going to do with this, So I didn't have anything, and then I just kept saying it over and over the way it was given to me, and it was like, it's Cleveland, Ohio. It's 10 a.m. Thursday, and I'm like, that's a meter, and so I started playing it. And this is what I came up with, and I ended up calling it Cleveland, Ohio, but, well, I'll tell you something about it afterwards. So. Cleveland, Ohio, it's 10 a.m. Thursday, walked out of my motel, and I went for a walk. The lakefront is quiet, except for men fishing. They stand on the dockside, cast their lines out tall. Johnstown, Ohio. The state line by lunchtime. Grabbed some coffee at the Quick Mart and found a talk radio. The callers are angry. They say they're forgotten. Though my reasons are different, it's a feeling I know. And how can I make it without you? And how can I live in this world on my own? Did you really think I would doubt you? Did you really leave me alone? Route 80 PA seems to stretch on for days. I count off the small town miles. Water Gap into Jersey and the suburban haze. But the New York City skyline, that's a sight for sore eyes. Hoboken, New Jersey. It's 6 p.m. Thursday. Park the car by the ferry, and I boarded that boat. Halfway across the Hudson, pulled a box from my backpack. I threw out your ashes and watched you blow off and float. And how am I living without you? And why am I here in this world on my own? No choice but to go on without you. But how could you leave? How could you leave? How could you leave me alone?
I have some things to say. That
No? Really?
First, the tone of that guitar is so stinking rich
I love
and
this guitar.
beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
And I love it. And
Yeah.
I just loved that song. And so, do you know Ken Nagelberg?
I've seen the name, but I don't know him, no.
He's one of my favorite folk music DJs.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Okay.
So he said he lived in Cleveland for 6 years, the best 6 years of his life, and
Uh-huh.
also lived by the Delaware Water Gap.
Oh.
And Keith says he seems to love all of the depressing songs.
Well, I played that once, and it wasn't a true story. But I used to. My parents used to have a summer place in Pennsylvania, and I was living in New York State, so we'd make this long drive across, Route 80 and Route 84, and it's very long. And you think, like, whenever you drive across Pennsylvania, you think, oh, I'm in Pennsylvania, I'll be in New York soon, and then, like, 2 hours later, you're like, I'm still in Pennsylvania. Hours later, so it's a very long state. But all those little touchstones, when I used to live in Manhattan, I remember coming home and being on the turnpike and looking across, and you're like, you see the skyline, and it was just like, oh. But I sort of didn't know what was going to happen in that song until I wrote the last verse. And so anyway, yeah. But I was playing at one place, and this woman came up to me crying, and she said, "Oh, I did a trip just like that," and she was saying, and she was telling me about this, and it was her husband, and she asked me who the person I was writing about, and I felt really bad. And I didn't really go into too much detail, but about, you feel like I made it up. No, I couldn't say that. So.
But it's a beautiful song. I love it. I love it.
But thank you. And it's funny because how, like, I heard Slade Cleave say once, if you don't pay enough attention to your old songs and you start paying attention to the new ones, and the old ones will, like they don't like it and they'll do something. And in that song, I switched around a couple lines because I was like, you wouldn't know it unless you knew the song, but it reminded me of that. He was right.
No, that is absolutely true. I've been trying to make a concerted effort to go back and even remember the old songs. My goodness.
Yeah.
So on that note, you had said, did you call it the Dead People trilogy?
I do have songs about dead people. Yeah, I wrote 3 in a row. Yeah, I look a little too excited about it. Yeah, I got lots of songs about dead people. No, I wrote that one, which wasn't about one person. I think I wrote it about a friend who I would have liked if he, his friends could have done something like that. But we didn't find out about his death until much later. Mm-hmm. And then I have, one. I have a bunch of them. So why do you ask?
Oh, well, because I had mentioned earlier when I was in my early 20s, I didn't know who I was as an artist or anything. And when I first started discovering it by writing about dead people, specifically King Henry VIII and his wives, that's how I really got into storytelling through song. So I joke about all my dead people songs because they're just about historical events. But I've written a lot about my dad. Mm-hmm. Because he passed away in 2016, and he was just such a big part of me playing music at all. So I have
That's
a kind
wonderful.
I'm going to do a cover song. I know this is not ideal, but
it's your show.
It's
can
my
do whatever
show.
The heck you want. Yeah.
Thank you, Claudia.
Okay.
But because you said dead people, and that's what made me think of this. So so I grew up in this neighborhood called Parkwood Beach, and it was built in the 20s as right next to a beach, and it's just summer cottages. My dad grew up there, and his dad grew up there, and we lost our house there. And it's just I want to go back home so bad. But when I was a little kid, my dad grew up. He was born in 1940, and we had all this footage of him just playing in Parkwood Beach as a kid, and I loved to watch the video because it just I just thought my dad was so cool. And over it were all the songs from the era because the camera back then didn't have any audio.
Right.
And one of the songs, there's this scene of my dad marching around in Bermuda shorts being silly, and the song over it is Rosemary Clooney, This Old House. And so I always associated that song with my dad, never really realizing what it was about. And then when my dad passed away, I was trying to think of songs to play for his funeral, and I knew he wouldn't have wanted anything depressing. So I was like, This Old House. He loved that song, and it makes me think of him, and it's happy, and I'll do that song. And I'm standing there at his funeral singing it, realizing what the song is about.
Oh.
And afterward, his brother, my uncle, came up to me. He said, Gracie, why did you pick that song? And I said, I don't know. It just reminds me of my dad. And he said, I've got to tell you that the day that he died, for no reason at all, that song was stuck in my head all day. Ooh. And so it just gave me goosebumps. So I'm going to give it a whirl because I love it.
Cool. Yeah, do it.
And I'd just like to throw it up above. I made a link for the Virtual World Tour Spotify playlist. So I know that Spotify is a contentious subject for many artists, but it's really an important tool that we need to learn how to embrace. So if you could follow Claudia and I on Spotify, it would really make a big difference for us because you need to have a significant number of followers to even get considered for playlists, and playlists are the things that we need so that we can get fractions of pennies for our songs. So anyway, follow the playlist. I'm going to be updating it with Claudia's music after the show tonight. And there's music from all the artists that I've had on here since last September. So anywho, This Old House. This old house once knew its children. This old house once knew its wife. This old house was home and comfort as we fought through storms of life. This old house once rang with laughter. This old house heard many shouts. Now it trembles in the darkness when the lightning walks about. Ain't gonna need this house no longer. Ain't gonna need this house no more. Ain't got time to fix the shingles. Ain't got time to fix the floor. Ain't got time to all the hinges nor to mend the window panes. Ain't gonna need this house no longer. He's getting ready to meet the saints. getting shaky. This old house is getting old. This old house lets in the rain, and this old house lets in the cold. On my knees I'm getting chilly, but I feel no fear of pain, 'cause I see an angel peeking through a broken window pane. Ain't gonna need this house no longer, ain't gonna need this house no more. Ain't got time to fix the shingles, ain't got time to fix the floor. Ain't got time to all the hinges, nor to mend the window panes. Ain't gonna need this house no longer, he's getting ready to meet the saints. This old house is afraid of thunder. This old house is afraid of storms. This old house just groans and trembles when the night wind flings its arms. This old house is getting feeble. This old house is needing paint. Just like me, it's tuckered out, but I'm getting ready to meet the saints. Ain't gonna need this house no longer, ain't gonna need this house no more. Ain't got time to fix the shingles, ain't got time to fix the floor. Ain't got time to all the hinges, nor to mend the window panes. Ain't gonna need this house no longer, he's getting ready to meet the saints.
Yeah, I love that. You know, that's a song that when I was first learning how to play guitar, that was like, you know, in a list of songs. And I guess I was taking guitar lessons from this folk woman, and that was listed, but we never played it. So I didn't know how the melody went, and I just imagined it in my head, kind of, and I saw the lyrics, and it's very similar to what you had there, you know.
The way you imagined it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. I didn't really. Maybe I'd heard it like once or so, but I certainly never learned it. But it's got great lyrics. You know, a similar song is that song, the Alan Shamblin song, "The House That Built Me." It's so beautiful. It's
I think it makes me weep. That's a cry song, right?
Oh yeah, that's a big cry song.
Thank you, Ken.
Like, yeah, when you go back to that's a big cry song. When you go back to the house where you grew up in, you know, and I don't know if this happens for you, but for me, sometimes when I dream, it takes place in a house I used to live in, either a house I grew up in, or a house that was. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you cry.
No, you're just like hitting the point, because I don't want to interrupt your story. I spent the weekend filming a music video for a song just about me growing up, and I told the director, I said, I really, really want a scene from my old neighborhood, because it just, like, I did a yoga class, actually with Dee, I don't know if she's still watching, and during the relaxation, she said, imagine yourself in a place that feels safe, and it's always home. In the home I grew up in, and we lost that house like it was auctioned out from under us. It was traumatic, and so
that is traumatic.
So we went to film at that beach for the video the other day, and I was standing there singing, and I looked around, and it's a neighborhood that nobody leaves. You know, people are there for generations, and I see this man, and I thought, oh my God, he's the man who saved me from the monkey bars when I was like 4.
Wow.
He'll never know who I am. And I was just dying to be done with the take so I could go over and say hi, that I remembered him. And he came up to me, and he remembered. And I was just, it's just like like, it's funny because the houses there aren't like fancy houses, and there's tiny little lots, but there's just something about home.
Oh, yeah,
it's just
absolutely.
like, ooh-hoo-wee.
Yep.
So I'm doing it again. And I told him, I was like, I cannot cry. I'm doing a music video right now. Anyway.
Well, you can cry. You can cry if you want to. Yeah.
Can leave our friends behind.
Yep,
There should be a verse to that song.
You can cry if you want to. You can do whatever you want.
Oh, man.
Well, I just had a wedding anniversary. A big one. Well, they're all big these days. But my husband Harlan and I, have been married for 33 years now.
Bravo.
Thank you. And he had to work, and I was working too. I was doing a showcase thing. So we're not celebrating until the weekend. But when I was doing my first album, Step by Step, this was the title song, and I didn't end up writing it until the night before the last day of the session, and because there was a song that wasn't working, and so I had this little chorus, and I built it into a song, and now it's like, I think it ended up being my favorite song of it. So we're talking about life stages, and that's what this song is about. It's just about how sometimes you start doing things and you don't realize, like, wow, if you knew how hard it was going to be, maybe you wouldn't. But this is step by step. Riding round in your old car and wishing on an evening star, as if wishing made things true. So young, but we were game, a leap of faith to change my name. All we had was me and you. Step by step, brick by brick, line by line, stick by stick, day by day. Baby, yeah, we built it up and made something out of nothing. One by one, two by two, traveling alone and maybe with you day and night. Baby, gonna build it up and make a lifetime that is something, me and you. Baby, me and you, it's true. Got a job, yeah, we both did, made a home and raised our kids. Every phase without a clue. And each time we nearly split, you always raised your game a bit, finding ways to pull us through. Step by step, brick by brick, line by line, stick by stick, day by day. Baby, yeah, we built it up and made something out of nothing. One by one, two by two, traveling alone and maybe with you day and night. Baby, gonna build it up and make a lifetime that is something, me and you. Baby, me and you, it's true. You said you'd marry me someday. Well, now we're looking back, I guess you had. Step by step, brick by brick, line by line, stick by stick, day by day. Baby, yeah, we built it up and made something out of nothing. One by one, two by two, traveling alone and maybe with you day and night. Baby, gonna build it up and make a lifetime that is something, me and you. Baby, me and you. Baby, me and you, it's true.
I love that song.
Oh, thank you. I was, yeah, you know, did you ever have this happen at the beginning of a song and you're playing it? And I've had like some allergies lately, I guess, and I swallowed and I was like, and you feel like someone's stabbing you. So I guess I must have been making weird faces while playing it. Because it was like, oh, I almost lost it right at the beginning. I'm like, no, keep going. And, you know, I shouldn't admit this publicly because things happen, right?
No, this is the place to admit it.
Yeah.
I didn't notice any of that. Nothing.
Well, it's sometimes, you know, that sometimes you're playing and things happen like, oh, you know, you get that feeling like, you know, there's mucus dropping onto your vocal cords and it really hurts for some reason. I don't know why. It does. Or you get like, you're about to sneeze or, you know, you get horribly itchy or something or you get like stabbing pain.
And you got to play through.
You got to play through it, yeah. Yeah, or you hit the
wrong
David
chord.
Is here.
Yeah. Hi, Dave and Ken. So I was just thinking about things that I've played through because there's an art to it, right? Like, to keep going, like, I don't know.
I
one
pride
of the,
myself on it. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, don't be sorry. It's
No, tell me.
and we should be proud. Like, I've perfected the art of the subtle burp. You know, like if except there's one time I remember, I think I hadn't realized how often I have to like step to the side, you know, because I was opening for a magician, and they had I know
Oh, wow,
at a
that's
county
gig.
fair, and
Oh,
they had
boy.
said I know they had said that the sound system was provided, and I said, well, I double checked that I need a mic and a stand and blah blah blah. Oh, we got you, and I show up, and the microphone they had provided me was like a Madonna headset.
Well, you're
And
so
you-
Madonna.
But you can't step away from that. Like you
No.
can't get away. It's just attached to your head. Anyway, that's all I had to say about that.
Did you burp into it or did you cover it?
I just panicked the whole time. I'm like, this is not good. I need to be able to step aside.
Yeah.
So now that's in my rider. There will be no headset microphones. I repeat, none.
No headsets. No.
No, anti-headset.
You don't want to look like one of those crazy preachers anyway who just wants money. So,
I
yeah.
know. Oh my goodness. David just said I spent too much time in the sun. So it's confession time because Ken had said he wanted to hear stories from the music video shoot. So Claudia, I don't know about you, but since now even before I was a mom, but more so now, I am like obsessed with sunblock. Everyone must
Oh,
have
yeah.
sunblock. Even in the winter, we put a little sunscreen on always. I am so good about it.
Mm-hmm.
And the night before the video shoot, we were going to be shooting in a field the next morning. And I thought, Grace, put on sunblock. And I went to bed repeating that. And I woke up and I got dressed and somehow I forgot the sunblock.
Oh no.
And I
Not in
think
the
it was just
car?
like the rush of trying to get there. And I was wearing this ridiculous gown that I couldn't walk in. And but it was cloudy too. So I was like, oh, maybe it's not that bad. And it is bad.
Yeah.
It's bad. I don't know how much you can tell. It's bad.
Yeah, because you're so
caught me.
fair. You're like a lobster. You're
I am like
like a Maine lobster.
Ooh-wee. I don't think that it translated into the video, but
No,
good.
they can fix that.
As I told him.
Yeah, filters.
Oh my goodness. I remember I played through one other crazy thing. I don't know if this would be an enjoyable story, but my string broke in the middle of a song. And you have to keep playing. You just kind of like pull it away so you can keep strumming. But when I went to pull it away, the string went through my webby.
Oh my lord!
And
that
I just-
hurts. Too.
And I kept playing though. I pulled it out and I kept playing. And I never felt more badass in my
That's
life.
badass. Yeah, that's badass. That's very punk. That's very punk.
That's me. How did you know? Have you ever had to play through something insane?
Yeah, I've had to play through. Yeah, when I was in college in a rock band, these frat boys were very drunk and they kind of stormed the stage and they started grabbing things like the little percussion things that we had that occasionally some of us would play with, and they grabbed these maracas that my mom had brought home as a souvenir from her Mexican divorce. That's my mom. She would be like, "Oh, I gotta get a souvenir for the girls." You know, she's down there in Juarez getting a Mexican divorce, and
Wait, a Mexican divorce?
oh, look it up. It's something that
Okay.
doesn't happen anymore, but it used to be like you could get a quick divorce. Because most states it took a long time, but if you wanted a quick divorce, you went to Mexico, and it was quick.
Oh.
So this was a thing, in the late 60s, early 70s. So anyway, these frat boys kind of grabbed it, and one just he broke the maracas over his friend's head, and then he started lunging at me, and I'm playing guitar and singing, and my partner he had a big, the guitar I was playing before, kind of like a 335, and he just went, and the guy was so unstable that he just fell off the stage. But I just came back in, and it was that was happening during the instrumental break, and the guy's trying to grab the mic and sing, and I'm thinking, and he gets knocked off by my partner, and and I just went right back into the chorus or whatever. So
And it was Total Eclipse of the Heart. That's what you were singing, right?
no, I would never sing that song. I'm sorry.
You've got a firm Bonnie Tyler stance. I like it.
Yeah, it's a
I can
heartache.
respect that. I can respect that.
It's a heartache.
So I gotta say that her voice sounds like it hurts to sing Bonnie Tyler.
It can hurt to listen to it, especially when your neighbor's screaming over, "It's a heartache." Ooh, it hurts me just to do that. Yeah. But
Wow,
that was kind of a cool, the one you mentioned, that was kind of a cooler tune. It was very theatrical, and I think you have to
Yes.
be a fan of that kind of real theatrical stuff. And
Yes.
I wasn't in theater, and I wasn't like, that wasn't my thing. So, yeah, I'm adjusting things always. Sorry, but yeah, it was no. But anyway, what are you gonna play next? You're gonna play.
No, wait, no more Total Eclipse of the Heart.
No,
we'll eclipse nothing. So I'm gonna play a song I haven't played in a while. I don't even. Most of my songs have dates on them when I wrote them. This one doesn't have a date.
Can I mention one thing before you start?
Please do.
Well, you're trying to raise money for your lovely album, so people should go to gracemorrison.com, right? And people who tune in regularly know that. But they should also tip you, because that's what is going to help your album too. So, how many songs are on your album?
Well, it started as 15, and then I was told that was too long, so it's 12.
That's so cool.
We're at 12.
A double album. Okay, I'll show it to you.
No, I don't. I like talking to you. Someone just requested the song "Hey Jealousy." I'd have to learn that. Do you know that song?
Hey
Jealousy.
Jealousy. That was like a 90s. What was that? The Gin Blossoms?
Yeah.
They were like a one-hit wonder.
What's it? Tell me, do you think it'd be alright? I can learn that for you, Tim. Yes.
Yeah. That was a cool song.
It's a good song. All right, so this one. I was trying to segue because we were earlier talking about home, and so I'm constantly trying to redefine that, and the gift of stepchildren has been such a rewarding thing. It's challenging, but it's the best gift I've ever gotten is this family. And so this is just a song about the kids and being grateful for them, and I'm crossing my fingers that I remember how to play it.
You will. I'll cross mine too.
And I'm gonna put this up. And if you're interested, I don't know if anyone's interested, but so on my website, I've got all kinds of cool perks for contributing to the fundraiser. And there's a new one coming. I haven't put it on the website yet, but my friend made custom Grace Morrison lip gloss. It's really cute. It's watermelon lip gloss. Anyway. Looking at you, looking at me, we're a miracle, my little family. And it pulls me through fantasy. I got my fix, digging holes and pick up sticks. But when I see you, I think, hey sister, hey brother, it's plain to see we need each other in a world gone bad with pain and sickness. We give each other emotional fitness. It's plain and it's hard. We play games when it's dark. We see each other all the way through. And that's why I need when it all bites. When I've been blue, hearts and home and sea and air. She shows her teeth, but we don't care, because we all do. And I think, hey sister, hey brother, it's plain to see we need each other in a world gone bad with pain and sickness. We give each other emotional fitness. It's plain and it's hard. We play games when it's dark. We see each other all the way through. And that's why I need you. Oh, we're fighting ourselves again, because we're standing with such thin skin. And I think, hey sister, hey brother, it's plain to see we need each other in a world gone bad with pain and sickness. We give each other emotional fitness. It's plain and it's hard. We play games when it's dark. We see each other thought of something else I wanted to share with you, and I meant to share it with you the other night, and when we were on, and I totally forgot.
What's
But
that?
I remember, I think that I met you at Dripping Springs, and then Swerfa was afterward.
Probably.
There's some kind of flip-flop with
Yeah.
that. But I just remember
Or
being
maybe the other
so
way, yeah.
floored by how supportive you were of every other artist.
Oh, thank you.
Like, because up to that point, I think I had just been in this world where it always felt competitive, and I hadn't seen much of that. You know, and part of it is just because we're all playing on the same nights, but I just hadn't seen much mutual support. And I remember thinking, like, she's so sweet. Like, look at her supporting all these other artists. And I just thought it was so beautiful, and it really inspired me to want to do that too.
Oh,
So
well,
that-
thank you.
that was awesome.
You made my day saying that. Yeah, because I think that's what I like about the folk world, or what falls under the folk umbrella, as opposed to, you know, when I was trying to do rock. It just seems it was a lot more supportive. And I found that. So I think we all have to support each other. You know, it's super important, because sometimes you look out and, you'll see a lot of songwriters in the audience.
The rising tide, though, right? It's like we just gotta lift each other up.
Well, it's true, because, and I will just say this really quickly, that when you're younger, you probably think, oh, I'm going to make it. Like, you think, you'll meet the right person, someone will wave a magic wand. And then it's like you get older and you start going through it, you realize it's none of that. It's the relationships you make. Yeah. It's all the relationships you make. I mean, 2 years ago, I went back and played a little theater in New York, and I look out in the audience, and it was people I had known from high school, college, from living in that area for many years, raising my kids, friends, and so it was, all the relationships with people who come see you, and relationships with other musicians, because then you find yourself, this person wants you to do that, or you ask someone else, and your world just gets bigger. So it's super important for any artist to support their fellow artists, I believe.
Yes. Preach, Claudia, preach.
I'm preaching, but thank you for that. So are we doing any more songs, or are we?
Yeah, usually we go till about 8:30ish.
Oh, cool. Okay,
yeah.
great.
And thank you, Edwin Grant just added me on Spotify. Thank you.
Hey, this sounds a little bit loud, so maybe I'll.
And I like having you play electric guitar the other night. Just makes me want to go pick mine up so bad, because it's so beautiful.
Well, I'm going to do a song I haven't done in a while, so I was fishing out for the words. And this is one of those songs that I keep tinkering with. When you write songs, you do that. I don't know if it may be done, it may not be done. But anyway, it's called The Days. Thinking back to those early days, memories as warm as the nights of June and July, the summer haze, county roads and cityscapes. We laughed till we nearly cried, loved so hard I thought that we would break. And it was our world, and it was our time. We made all our plans to leave the old behind. Those were our days. Those were our days. Maybe it's not my world anymore. It's burning like a house on fire. I can't tell what all this hurry-up's for, but the truth still resonates. Spark in my lover's eye, clear blue skies and what feels like fate. 'Cause this is the world, these are the times. These are the days. These are the days. It's a new world, and these are new times. We got new plans, yours and mine. These are the days. These are the days. These are the days. These are the days. The days. The days.
Bravo.
Thank you.
Stunning.
Oh,
Is that song available on streaming?
it is not. No, I haven't recorded it yet. Because I'm still like, there's a couple little lines. You know how it is? Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. I've got some recording to do this year. And I didn't record over the pandemic just because I didn't really know how to create tracks at home well enough to be able to send them up. I'm trying to learn, but yeah, I like going into the studio. For me, that's the whole treat about it, you know.
There's
love
something
it.
magical about that. I tried to record. I have one song I recorded at home over the pandemic, but the amount of patience that it requires
Yeah.
to get this is no.
I just
Not
feel
for
like,
me.
you know, people that you work with that are good engineers and producers, it's like they do it really well. And, you know, I'm happy to save my pennies or do a fundraiser or Kickstarter or whatever to get them to be able to do it. They're going to make it sound 100 times better with, you know, this much work. It's like my husband can chop vegetables like, which takes me like half an hour, you know, because he's a chef. It's the same thing, you know, so yeah.
Does he do that fancy thing with the knife where he just like just the butt of the knife's doing it like?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's got good knife skills. Yeah.
It's amazing.
I
I'm like ding ding ding.
No. You need a really sharp, big knife, and then take
Oh,
a
not my
course.
serrated steak knife, butter knife. No.
No, that's how you end up with like the guitar string for your webbing thing. Except you're like got a Ginsu knife stuck in your.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I dated a man who had that knife skill, and I was always like, I can do that, but I cannot do that.
No, it took me a long time to learn, Grace, and many years, and early meals were bad.
My husband's always like, why don't you cook dinner? I was like, I will gladly cook dinner. We're having hot dogs and macaroni and cheese. And then he's like,
Ooh.
no, I'll cook.
Yeah. No, I learned how to cook. So, yeah, I did.
So I'm going to do another kind of older song that I haven't done in a while. This is the first co-write I ever did. And it was because, I talk about this all the time. I got to find another way to say it. But I was inspired by my husband's divorce. Mostly because I could see his emotions, you know, and it's just, there was just so much there, and there still is so much there. And I had started writing this song, and I was like, honey, did I get it? Did I get the vibe? But the second verse was missing something. And we were at Wines and More looking for my favorite cranberry wine. And I came around the corner, and there he was, and he had been standing over in the craft beer writing the second verse. So this was our little co-write that he wrote in Wines and More.
Neat.
And it's really about, you know, when people, it doesn't have to be divorce, when people wrong you, and, you know, they always try to like justify it and give you all these reasons and make them, you know, mostly to make themselves feel less guilty about it, right? Mm-hmm. And so that was kind of what this is about. It's called Reasons because, you know, you just keep looking for reasons to justify what you did. And but then it became the title track of my last album, but in a more positive way because I put my son on the, like, a picture of my baby on the disc because he's my reason. You know, I tried to
Oh,
Tried to flippy-flop it. But let's, again, cross our fingers that I remember the lyrics here. All right. And please, 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 if you can contribute to the tip jar, please do. This is how Claudia and I are supporting our art right now. And if you can't, we totally understand, but following us on all of our social media platforms makes a huge difference. It might seem like such a little thing to you to just click a button and follow, but it's really a big deal to us. So thank you ahead of time. And I'm just going to leave that up there. All right. Reasons. Tell me another story about him. I wanna know why. Your stories pile up like rocks in the river, and I need another reason to try. Give me another reason to leave you. I'm sure you could try. The leaves pile up like seasons of doubt, and I don't need another reason to cry. It's our love breaking, our life coming down. It's been seasons in the making, and the me that's left behind is proud. These arms that I'm holding around you don't wanna get too close. You smell like you've been swimming in the river with some other sad broken ghost. I'm feeling like a man in the shadows, just watching it all. I've held you up, picked up the pieces, but now I'm gonna let you fall. It's our breaking, our life coming down. It's been seasons in the making, and the me that's left behind is proud. Pedal steel solo goes here. Tell me another story about him. I wanna know why he's going down this river you found, and I don't think you should stay dry. Thank you.
Yeah, lovely.
Thank you.
So I have a question to ask you about. So is that your piano? Do you play piano too?
I do. Piano was my first instrument.
Wow. So when did you start studying piano?
When I was four and a half.
Oh, wow. So child prodigy? Were you?
No, I mean, I might have been actually more like 5. I was terrified of other people. I hid underneath my mother's shirt if other people came near me, and my parents recognized that as an issue. And the first attempt was to socialize me, was to sign me up for soccer. And I remember them telling me about soccer. I was like, oh, yes, I would love to play soccer, not realizing it meant other children. And so we got to the field for the first day, and there's all these other kids, and I wouldn't get out of the car. And so then my dad was like, oh, we'll try piano, which was totally my speed because it was just me and another older woman, and that was like my comfort zone.
Yeah. That would do it.
Now you said you went to college for music. What was your primary instrument?
Guitar. I mean, I was a composition major, but back then it was a little difficult. Like I had to study classical guitar, so I did. And I had studied classical guitar during my teens, and I liked it, but it wasn't like my thing. And then I studied jazz guitar, and I really wanted to go to school for jazz guitar because I kind of had this brief period of being a jazz snob. So I got into Berkeley, but it was like just so expensive that I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So I said, oh, I'll go over here and I'll study music, you know, and it was fine. But you know, I don't know, you know, we do what we do, you know.
It's true. I studied jazz in college because it was either classical or jazz were your two options, and I liked neither. And I tried so hard to like jazz, and I really only liked Thelonious Monk.
Oh, I love Thelonious Monk. Yeah. Yeah, I like the weird stuff. Even in classical, I like the weird contemporary atonal stuff, which is great because that's what my advisor had me writing. So
like some Bartok.
Cool. Oh yeah, but even like, you know, like more like, yeah, Bartok was the more the piano-y stuff. Yeah. I liked some other stuff. I loved Ives. I loved the like Villalobos, who was a guitar composer, and yeah, so I liked a lot of different things. But I, you know, it was kind of like not my thing. I mostly learned a lot from playing in a band. I had a rock band. And also playing in the jazz band, the jazz ensemble. That was good because I learned how to follow charts for measures. And I learned how to count measures in my head. So that was good. You know, and I just had to do like, I didn't have solos because I couldn't really manage jazz solos because I don't have the kind of brain that can do that. So it's probably good I didn't go to Berkeley because I would have been crying and in debt. But now, like, they have, like, yeah,
I want you to...
yeah,
that's a song you need to write. Crying and in debt.
Yeah, no, it's been, no, thank you. I don't want to revisit that. But now they have all these great programs, like, for, you know, for songwriters that songwriters come out of at places like Berkeley. And even, you know, in other, I mean, I went to a state university. But, yeah, there's a lot more with contemporary music now and contemporary songwriting. And that's great. I really, you know, I was kind of like... Maybe I was ahead of my time. But
I think so.
Whatever.
So I think we're at our your last song, my last song point, and it's so sad because this has been so wonderful and fun for me. This has been my emotional margarita. I feel really relaxed.
Good. Well, I'm not sure. Like for this song, I think I'll do it as a lot. I was gonna do either this song or a newer song that I just wrote recently that's kind of a happier tune, this song Shine On, or I could do Louisiana Sky. I'm just so
I love Louisiana Sky,
yeah,
but I feel like you should just do a song that you love to play. Don't worry about the happy or the sad or the whatever.
Okay, well, I'm going to play Louisiana Sky because that's what I'm tuned up to play, and I'm going to play that.
I love this song.
Well, thank you. And this song I wrote, it had a weird history, but I'm not even going to go into it. But if you want to read about it, I wrote a whole like essay about it. My husband always laughs at me like I talk with my hands. It's my Mediterranean blood. But yeah, on my website, claudiagibson.com, right there. I see that Grace put that up there. Thank you. If you click on, there's a thing about stories. And I was originally going to write a story about each song, but I ended up writing such a long story about this one that I never wrote anymore. So I used to be a freelance writer. So I really got to get back to it. But it has a strange history that I wrote this song after actually visiting a very eerie historical plantation in southern Louisiana right before just this sort of biblical rainstorm came through. Left behind, just me on the highway in a Louisiana sky. I heard the past come calling like a voice from up high, saying we all once lived here under Louisiana skies. Crossed a bridge over the bayou, sugarcane grows tall and wide, plantation cabins down an old gravel road. There's ghosts in the live oaks telling off the evil eye, couldn't lift them to freedom under Louisiana skies. And on their papers, first names only: Moses, Martha, and a child. Life stories left here in cypress and stone, once flesh and blood, now dust and bone. Clouds darkened and swirled down, lightning scattered and cried. Leaves of history were streaming from the Louisiana sky. Cabins empty and dusty, voices still by the time. I said my prayer to the nameless and the Louisiana sky. Said you won't be forgotten under Louisiana skies.
Holy I just love that song, and I hadn't caught the lyric the other day. Was it Moses, Martha, and a child?
Yeah, those were actual names on these slave records of like that I found in this box, and I think it's going to go into another story too, because it was kind of like just sort of an impressionistic thing, that song. But I started, those names came from like going through these boxes of old records at Tulane University, and you pick up these titles and you realize it looks like a car sale or something, or a house sale, and it's a title, but it's a human being, and there's just a first name on it, like Moses. And you know, it was like so chilling to me, because I realized that I'm sitting there with a pair of gloves in a library archive, but there was people who used these as a transactions for human beings, and yeah, it was just so that's why I kind of had to go and see what it was like. But it was just more, it was just a, you know, going from one world to another, like for a couple hours, and then coming back. And it was just like, it was like the rainstorm. And actually the song, and I'll leave you with this, but I missang the lyrics, probably because I'm tired. I had a new kitten, and I kept getting woken up. This kitten was bouncing on me all night, so I'm a little bit rattled today. But the line was, tears of history were streaming from the Louisiana skies, because I felt like when it was just kind of like, it just couldn't hold all the sadness that you feel when you're walking around, and it was just pouring. And when I was looking for an image to put on the album, because that's what I named the EP, I found this one. I'm like, that's perfect. So I wrote to this man on Flickr and asked him if I could use it, and he said, wow, that's amazing, because I told him what it was for. He said he and his wife, he took the picture, he and his wife were driving around southern Louisiana, and she's a descendant of slaves and slave masters, and they were going to these plantations, like the same, you know, place that I was. And he said it was just, there was tornado warnings coming up, and he just put the camera out the window and took this image, and that was the image that I used for the cover. And it was just like, he said, we had a similar experience of just like, you couldn't hear the stories, but it was palpable, the sadness and just the misery there. Yeah.
And that song is available to stream.
Oh, yeah.
So that is going to be the #1 song on the Virtual World Tour Spotify playlist tomorrow. I'm going to put it right at the top. So everybody, please, 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 if you don't already, follow that playlist so you can hear Claudia and so many more amazing artists. I was just thinking about that, you know, we've been talking a lot recently about white privilege and what that means. And it just dawned on me in this moment that what that means to me is that I don't live with the constant reminder that that even happened. Like, I can forget that people were enslaved like that, you know, and it's important for us to have these reminders because it was not that long ago. I mean, when you think how many generations ago it was, like my great-grandmother, who was alive when these people were alive, you know, it was just not that long ago. And so the repercussions of it still exist. And for those of us who don't have to live with that every day, we have to be reminded.
Absolutely. And also, like, we have the privilege of being able to look back many generations sometimes in our history. And I'm such a genealogy nerd. I love watching that show, Finding Your Roots, you know, with Henry Louis Gates. And always when he has a black guest, it's like you can go so far. And, you know, if they're American, you hit a wall because, you know, and then if they end up with the slave records that just list no names and just ages. And it's so chilling. And it's just always so touching because, yeah, I can go back because of the Catholic Church in French Canada. I can go back to, you know, people who came over in the 1500s, 1600s. And yet, you know, black folks can't. And it's been such a, I don't know, there's a song by Mandolin Orange, Wildfire. You ever heard that song?
I haven't.
It's amazing, and you should check it out. And they're from the Carolinas, and he wrote it, you know, as a Southern guy. And just how the legacy is just, you know, of those years and all the unresolved hatred, it's just kind of infected people. And, you know, we have to deal with it. And I don't think it's, you know, I think it's important to deal with things that we haven't, even if they're unpleasant, because you can't get out of this shit until you go through it, to be crass.
It's so true. No, it's so true. Even at a personal level, right? Like, I'm all about therapy. Like, you can't just push stuff down and forget about it because in one way or another it will pop back up in your life. Just like it does in our society, right? It's like not to
unpleasant truths have to be recognized, and, you know, at least say, yeah, that is an unpleasant truth, and that's all you can do. Then that's something.
Yeah. Claudia, I just think you are so wonderful, and you are such a gift to the music community, and, like, you've enriched my life more than you know, just from the first time I met you to now, and so thank you.
Well, what a thrill. Thank you so much, because I really just think your music's great, and I can't wait to hear your next album, you know, and I'm just so, like, envious, and I had 15 songs, and it's like, it takes me longer, you know, with them. I end up throwing out a bunch, but yeah, I want to hear it. So thank you so much for having me. It's wonderful.
Gosh,
2 weeks in a row with Grace Morrison.
I know. What a gift. Yeah. So, and hang out after we hang up, and we can have the debrief. Guys, that's a secret of the live stream, is the artists always have a debriefing after we talk about
Over wine.
Keith just chimed in and thanked us for talking about that because it's important, and it really, I agree.
Yes.
I agree.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you. Thanks for watching.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us tonight. I call this song Old Faithful. I play it all the time. And poor Ken Nagelberg, he said every time he tunes in, I happen to be playing this song. And at least I know earlier he heard some different ones. But this is a song I wrote for my dad. And long story short, my dad was not a poetic man. He loved me, and he is capable of great love and beautiful things, but emoting those things was not his forte. You know, I'm a Marine. He was that's my dad impression. Although one of the most beautiful things he ever said to me, my last 2 memories of my dad, the first one was, I was rushing around, and he said, hey, come sit down and eat with me. We don't know how long we have. That was the first one. That's really sweet, right? Well, the second one was we knew he was dying and he was in a coma, and I had planted my butt next to him, and I was just like sitting there holding a vigil, waiting and weeping next to him, you know? And I, it's so funny. He hadn't spoken for weeks, and he hadn't even opened his eyes, and I'm crying, and he opens his eyes, and he turns and looks at me, and he says, cut the shit.
Is that his last words to you?
Yes.
That's perfect.
That's the last thing my dad ever said to me.
That's actually perfect. That's a gift. Yeah.
I agree, and I can pass that down for generations. It's like, put it on a T-shirt. So I was trying to, like, write a pretty song for my dad, and, like, you know, really I was just trying to rephrase what I know that he meant by that. Because what he meant by that was, I love you. I had a great life. We had a beautiful time together. You're going to be okay. And so I rephrased for this song. I'm just making myself cry again. Goodness gracious. Okay, hold it together, Grace. My dad also liked to play basketball. That video of him I mentioned earlier, there you can actually see. If you go on my YouTube channel, I have a song called Daddy Don't, and at the very end of it is all that footage of my dad playing basketball. And you know, he would say things to me like when kids made fun of me when I was little, he'd say, "Let them go scratch their mad place." Or one time he said, "I know, you can just outsmart them. Make them tell you 3 words that end in GRY and they won't be able to do it, and then they'll never make fun of you again." Anyway, I have a little basketball reference in this song for him too. May God bless you and send you an angel. I'll be looking down from my home. Remember, I always loved you. When the world quits playing ball and starts throwing stones, it's a long, long way to Tipperary. I see setting suns and you see the dawn. Sometimes I look through your window till I see the lights start turning on. May God bless you and send you an angel. I'll be looking down from my home. Remember, I always loved you. When the world quits playing ball and starts throwing stones, I've walked away from heavy doorways. I've walked away from painful tears. I found my garden in your eyes, love. You were my hope and peace throughout the years. May God bless you and send you an angel. I'll be looking down from my home. Remember, I always loved you. When the world quits playing ball out with me tonight.
Well, thanks for having me. It was wonderful.
Everybody, please. Oh, no. Yeah, there it is. Go check out ClaudiaGibson.com. She is awesome. And then you can like her Facebook page, and you can follow her on Instagram. Are there chef photos on your Instagram?
Ooh, there are. Yeah, there's like food porn. Yeah. 'Cause
Yes.
my husband makes these nice meals, and I can't resist. Even though I'm like, well, I should be doing something for my music page, but then we have something happens like that, and it's
Yeah,
like,
and you must post that.
yeah, I must post these little garden carrots that he grew from seed, and it's like,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
it's good stuff.
Well, I think everyone should follow you. And tell us about your live stream series.
Oh yeah, I have a series called the 50/50 Hour. I was thinking because I have two, but I have one that's kind of transitioning, a local one, a Texas one, the first Sunday Songwriters. That will be streaming, but we're also going to be doing it live for the first time. Yes, so that's going to be in the first Sunday of the month, which is June 6th. And I know that I'm going to have two guests. One of them is Natalie. And
Price?
Yes, Natalie Price.
She's been on here.
Yes, she has. Natalie's wonderful, and she has her own show too. She has a streaming show.
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing it live, but we're also going to be streaming on my Facebook page. And then I have one called the 50/50 Hour, which usually is like about the third Wednesday of the month, and it's from 7 to 8 Central, so that's 8 to 9 your time. And that's where you were on last week, where I have a songwriter who's not from Texas, and it's someone that I've met kind of along the way that's far away that I want to, hang out with, that I don't get to. So, yeah. So that's
everyone,
what's going
and
on.
all that's on your website and your Facebook.
Yeah,
People can see
yeah, absolutely. It's on my Facebook music page, Claudia Gibson Music. So there's
So
nothing much
like
happening on my personal page. So
Go
it's very
like her
boring.
page.
I'm not on Facebook too much, except for my music page. So that's what's going on.
Well, have a wonderful night, everybody.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for hanging with us.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.